Hi guys, so I wanted to get on here and talk to you about my astral projection, lucid dreaming, and sleep paralysis experiences. Now, I have been experiencing this, um, particularly sleep paralysis, since the second grade. That is when I remember these episodes of sleep paralysis. Now, of course, at this age, I had no idea what sleep paralysis was, that this had a name, but all I knew that I was experiencing this every night. And basically, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't scream. I would try to yell for my mother and nothing would come out. And I would wake up in fear. And a lot of times I would go to my parents' room and I would stand next to my mom, in front of my mother while she's sleeping, and I would just tap her or something like that, and she would wake up startled, and I would sleep with them that night. But I began having them literally every night, and this caused me to develop a fear of the dark. Having these sleep paralysis episodes every single night, it gave me a fear of the dark. So my mother, she would turn on the kitchen light, and the light would shine all the way to my room. And even with that, I would still get the sleep paralysis, of course. And I remember one night in particular, because see, around this time, I discovered UFOs and aliens. I saw a television show that it included footage of UFOs and aliens, and I saw that around this time, around the second grade, and yeah, like that freaked me out. Aliens, UFOs, all of that freaked me out, and I would think that it was aliens that was abducting me, and it was even a movie that came out in the late 80s or early 90s that was about alien abduction, where the man was on a like on a table and the aliens were performing experiments on him, and I think I saw that movie, and that also traumatized me. So I remember it was one night and I was in bed and I look to my left and it was on my drawer and it looked like an alien head. It was this weird shape. It looked like a gray alien head, and I literally was looking at that all night in fear, paralyzed. I'm like, oh my God, there's an alien head. But in the morning when I woke up, I must have fallen asleep without realizing it. And when I woke up, it was actually a plastic bag. So yeah, that kind of, summarizes a little bit my fear of UFOs and aliens and the dark. And also, there were times where I would have the sleep paralysis, and it was one time that I saw lights go around the room, and then I was paralyzed. Like I saw the lights first, and then bam, paralyzed. That's what it felt like. And sometimes I would feel like I had some sort of like fabric over my body, but it was some sort of like see-through fabric that it's weird to explain. Like you could kind of see particles. That's what it kind of looks like, or what I can remember from, such a young age. But yeah, this was something that happened to me every night for a long time. I'm not saying every night until adulthood, but it happened consistently in my life and around the fourth grade. So remember, like in the second grade is when this kind of like started happening to me. And then by the fourth grade is when it was like maybe the fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade was when I discovered magic or witchcraft as far as like what you see on television or the movies. The concept of it intrigued me. Um, so that's just kind of like a little timeline for you guys to see. And I kind of feel like subconsciously, maybe my experiences with sleep paralysis kind of opened me up to magic and witchcraft and my destiny in a way. I feel like the sleep paralysis episodes and experiencing that state of consciousness, I think that baptized me into my spiritual abilities and my journey. I feel like that was like an early introduction to the spirit realms and to the astral realm. Me being a little kid. So it wasn't until the ninth grade, and at this time, by this point in the ninth grade, I'm studying Wicca at this point, and I meet a young man in high school in the ninth grade, and he let me borrow a book on astral projection. And I think I asked him, like, do you have a book on this? Or I don't remember exactly what it was, but he let me borrow the book. And that night, okay, the first night I took that book home and I read it. That night I fell asleep. I had my first conscious astral projection. And that night is when I realized that sleep paralysis is astral projection. Because the same exact thing happened. I was paralyzed in the beginning, but instead this time I felt this ringing in my ear, and it was like a shaking, like my body was like "Zzzz," like it was like vibrating, and then I just shot out. And that was the first time that I shot out. Before this, I was always paralyzed. There was one instant when I was young that I had a sleep paralysis in my parents' bed. So I had a sleep paralysis in my room, went to their room because I was scared, fell asleep on their bed or whatever, and I had another sleep paralysis. And that one, mind you, this was like the second or third grade. I was like a little kid, and I never forgot this. I was at a hospital, and I was seeing somebody being rushed in with the the bed thing with the wheels that they carry the people on. I saw somebody being carried in or rolled in through the entrance, and I felt out of breath. I remember that, and that was really the only instance where I saw something. So anyway, fast forward to the ninth grade when I had this first conscious astral projection where I did it knowingly. And I was like kind of impressed with myself because I'm like, damn, the first night that I read this book, I had a astral projection. I was over the roof. I was so happy. I'm like, wow, this is kind of confirming my abilities that I'm able to do this so quickly. And from that point on, I developed an obsession with astral projection and lucid dreaming and mastering this ability. And I still haven't mastered it. I'm still trying to. It's still a journey. It's a journey for me to master this ability as far as like to willfully do it. But it's something that I feel like I can't control. It just happens a lot of times. I'm going to share with you guys kind of like my journey into lucid dreaming, astral projection, and sleep paralysis. So, after this whole ninth grade situation, this first willful experience where I chose or I decided like I want to astral project and I did it, and then realizing that this whole time, sleep paralysis is the beginning of an astral projection experience. So, what started happening to me was that, like, when I would experience sleep paralysis after that initial first experience, it's like I had to learn how to get out of the bed. So if you're having sleep paralysis, you have to learn how to stop freaking out and get out of bed. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I used to freak out in the, before I knew what I was doing, before I knew that this was astral projection. So I had to kind of program myself to stay relaxed in that realm or in that reality. When you realize you're in sleep paralysis mode, it's kind of like, okay, I got to get out of here. I have something to do. So I would try to like kind of roll myself out of bed, and I would like fall on the floor, and I would feel heavy. And this would happen like in parts. Like I would roll out the bed, and then that would be like one astral projection. Then like I would wake up normal, I would go back to sleep, and then it would be like I would do it again, and this time like I would get to the door. And then like I'm not sure if it was that night or another night, like I eventually started kind of like trying to cause see, it was hard to stand up. I had to kind of like grab the walls in a way, like use the walls to help me get up because I felt heavy. It's like I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to get out of bed, like roll out of bed, crawl first, and then get the strength to walk up. And eventually I got out of the room. I opened the door and I got out of the room. Um, so that was my initial development of my abilities as far as like learning how to get out of bed, how to turn a sleep paralysis into an astral projection. Okay, so that's very important. The sleep paralysis is the initial state of a lucid dream or astral projection. So in time, I began, reading and researching and just continuing to experience this. And I learned that usually it happens when you're tired. It usually happens when you don't get a lot of sleep, or you take a nap in the middle of the afternoon or something like that. I actually had a sleep paralysis today. I had two back to back today. And it kind of, caused me to make this video to talk about it because I do want to get back into mastering, or not even mastering it. I want to get back into experiencing lucid dreams and astral projections because I haven't had any for a very long time. So I kind of want to get back into playing around with it because it is very fun. It can be very, very fun to experience these realities and these worlds, and there are different types of lucid dreams and astral projections. This video might be like everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how in depth I will get. I don't want it to be too long, but I feel like a video like this is gonna be long. So yeah, I feel like this video might be jumbled and I don't know. So be patient, you guys. So where was I? So yeah, it can be a very fun thing, Well, let's start with because see, there's different types of sleep paralysis and lucid dreams. There are some that start in your room, and there are others that can start somewhere else, like your grandparents' house, or the park, or the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? So there's different types. Now, the most frequent for me is the sleep paralysis as the beginning. So usually I'm in my bed, and at first I can't move. But then very quickly I realize, where I am and what I want to do. And then I just roll out of bed. Sometimes I fly, I shoot myself out. Other times I levitate. I have had sleep paralyses that I wake up in the sleep paralysis world, and half of my body is in the air. Like my head and my neck and my shoulders are on the bed, but as you start going down my body, it's like in the air. That has happened to me, that I have had that, and it feels like I am awake. So it feels like I am really levitating off the bed. And once, like, this has happened multiple times, this experience where like I'm levitating, where like my head and my neck and my shoulders are on the bed, but like as you go down, like my body is like up. It's kind of like in the air. One time in Atlanta, when I was living in Atlanta, my body was like literally my feet were like at the ceiling, and like my and I felt of two fingers touch my big toe, one of my big toes, and I woke up. That would yeah that was And I had an experience, a sleep paralysis in Atlanta also, where I woke up in my bed and an entity was holding me, was hugging me. Like I was laying on top of the entity, and the entity, it looked like a demon. Like it was like smiling literally from ear to ear. Like it had a big wide smile from ear to ear, and it had jagged teeth, and I couldn't move. It was just holding me. And yeah, it had like a man body or whatever, and it was um, it looked evil or whatever, and I don't know what that was. To this day, I don't know. That happened to me. I've had, yeah, a lot of experiences as far as like on the bed sleep paralysis. I mean, also getting out of the room. Um, so when you get out of the room, you could definitely, walk through the walls. Um, you can fly. So flying is a lot of fun. I've had a lot of lucid dreams that I'm flying. I've also had a lot of sexual astral projections and lucid dreams where I walk up to strangers and start performing sex acts on them. Like I start giving them oral sex, like right there, outside, just, guys walking. And yeah, I be going down on them. So, and those are really fun. And I had one lucid dream where I was at a grocery store and I was giving a guy head, or I was gonna go give him head. And like his penis was small, but I made it grow. I made it grow I was looking at it and I just willed it to grow. And then I took my hand and I put it over his face. And as my hand went past his face, it changed into another face. So I kept on swiping his face until the desired face appeared. And then I went down on him in the grocery store. Um, I've also had experiences where I'm flying at nighttime and I go to an apartment building looking for a man to give oral sex to. And I break into apartments. I walk through the walls, and there was one man, and he was sitting there there was a woman there. And when he saw me, he morphed into a little boy. And he did that so I wouldn't do anything to him. So then I just went to another apartment. I kept on looking, and I finally broke into an apartment, and there was two men and one woman sitting at a table, and they were playing a card game or something like that. And I walk up to one of the guys, and he was this hot Latin looking guy, and I ripped his shirt off, and he had this sexy, muscular, hairy chest, and I just started going down on him in front of everybody. um, I also had one lucid dream where I got out of bed, walked out of my door, and I see in front of me, um, like the street, I guess, like the sidewalk and the street, and I see a tree person. This person would look like they were a tree, made out of a tree, and they walk by me. And they were shaped like a humanoid, but they were made out of the wood of a tree, and it had like branches on it and leaves. And I remember seeing that walking by me. So I walk out and I see like the street goes up a hill and there's a basketball court up the hill. And I see a team of basketball players start walking down the hill. So I basically, so in slow motion, so it turns into slow motion, and I start giving each one of them head. And when a cuter one walks by, I go give him head. And then another one was walking by, and then I went to give him head. And then at one point, I went to go give this other guy head, and he was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" And the other basketball player guys were kind of like holding him as he was like falling back because he didn't, he was like, "Whoa," because I was just hungry. I was hungry to just devour their meat, their beefcakes. Okay, so a lot of my lucid dreams are of a sexual nature, and it is to perform oral sex on men. That is my purpose a lot of times when I do lucid dream. Um, and it is because I have been abstinent for 9 years. So I guess like my astral body or my subconscious, wants to, scratch an itch or relieve itself through these sexual acts. And it was one experience where I And see, I read a book on astral projection, and this one book this night, and it basically gave the technique where you um, get out of bed. This is when you are already in sleep paralysis, like in that world. So you get out of bed and you go to the mirror and you look at yourself. And that happened. Like, so I read that technique where it tells you that when you're in that world, go look at yourself in the mirror, and that kind of uh, activates you, because that's a technique. I'm not sure if it's the wild or the mild method. If you guys want to Google wild and mild method, those are two methods on how to activate lucid dreaming. But in one of the methods, you kind of have to activate yourself, or you have to, there are cues that you perform in that world where it makes you realize that you are dreaming, and that wakes you up and activates you to lucid dream. So that night, I had a lucid dream, and in that lucid dream, I got out of bed and I actually saw myself in bed. So I was two people. I was the person standing, and I saw myself in the bed. And that's the first time that that's happened. Like before that, I've never seen myself like as a second person. So that was awesome. Like, and then I go to the bathroom and I can see myself. I can see myself in the reflection. And then I remember shooting up out of my house. So I shoot up through the roof, and I'm in the sky, and I fly all the way up to the atmosphere. And I begin to freak out a little bit. Like I get overwhelmed and I get kind of scared. And then all of a sudden, these it's like this dark energy started forming. It started coming around me, and I'm like, what? And then I realized, like, maybe this is like, since I'm freaking out, maybe I'm bringing this to me. So like, I it's like I banished it, like I pushed it out, and then I begin to descend back into the earth. And when I descend back into the earth, as I'm descending down, I'm descending at a park that's by my house. And I'm still, coming down, coming down, coming down, and I see a man walking in the park towards me as I'm still coming down from the sky. And and as I'm getting closer to the ground, to the grass, and I'm still coming down, he's coming closer, and I finally land and I begin to give him head. And then these two other guys come and I start giving them head too. So, um, I've also had sleep paralysis where I have had entities come to me. So spirits that I work on, like I told you guys with my Belial story, but he's not the only entity that has come to me. I've had other entities that have approached me while I'm laying in bed and I can't move. So that also does happen. Um, I've had lucid dreams where I am developing abilities like pyrokinesis, where I am aware that I'm lucid dreaming and I look at my hands and I begin to push and I begin to see black smoke coming out of my hands. And then it lights up into fire. And I willed that to happen. I look at my hands and I like I push it out and it comes out. I'm like, oh my God, and I then levitate in the air. So at this point, like I'm I'm feeling powerful. And I remember in this one lucid dream that this entity or this person or whatever started coming towards me, and I throw a fireball at them, and they light on fire, and that's cool. Oh shit, that is cool. Okay, and I also had one lucid dream or astral projection where I'm in my room and I get out of bed and I stand up, next to my bed and I will the remote control to appear in my hand. So it basically dematerializes from where it was and materialized in my hand. And I'm like, wow, like, that happened. And then I willed in my other hand a lightning bolt, like lightning came out of my hand. And I remember levitating also, like levitating into the sky, into the air. I was still in my room. And these are just a few, okay? I have a lot. This is out of the top of my head. I'm not gonna tell you guys every single one. But those are just some ideas so you guys can kind of, have an idea of what happens. I mean, it's really fun. It's amazing. It's something that if I can do every night, I would. Um, like some lucid dreams or astral projections, you are like half aware. There are some that you're not fully in control, but you're kind of like on autopilot in a way. On autopilot with a mission. Um, so it's like you're kind of half aware, but you're still kind of like um with a target, or you're still kind of like in tunnel vision. It's not like if you just are completely 100% aware, but you are way more aware than in a regular dream where you're just basically watching yourself or experiencing something and you can't, it just happens. But with these, like, you can cause change, you can affect things, you can manipulate your surroundings. There was one lucid dream where I was flying through the sky. I was flying through the city. It was like New York. I don't know what it was, but it was like New York. And I was flying so fast. I was flying. I could see the building just swooshing past me as I'm flying. and I feel like I flew so fast that I broke through the I broke through the reality, through the dimension. It's like I pierced a hole and I went through it, and I'm in a room now, and it feels like one of those rooms that have a black mirror that people can watch you from behind. I felt like I was in a building that was for experimentation from the government. That is what I felt. And so I'm in this room and I see this lady in front of me, like she's sitting maybe 6 feet away from me, just sitting. And I instantly knew she was the bad guy. And I'm like, okay, bitch. So I will a fireball. Like I push it out, like I will it to happen, and then the black smoke starts circulating, and then bam, it lights on fire, and I threw it at her, but nothing happened. So then I basically just walk right up to her and I grab her by her head and I snap her neck on the side. Like I basically like tilt her head to the one side and just snap her neck. And I basically just fold her like like I grab her like she's a chair, and I basically fold her. I fold her and I throw her across the room. And I then go to a window. There's a window and I pull the window, the window up, and I look down, and I remember I could see that the lights outside that kind of give the streets that a yellow hue or whatever, those street lights. I could see that color. And we were really high up. And I remember looking down, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm really high up." But see, I knew that I could do things. So I basically jumped out of that window. And similar to Celine in Underworld, you know how in Underworld she jumps really far down and she just goes straight down and bam, just lands on her feet. I did it just like that. Like I just threw myself and like I fell down all the way down, and bam, I landed. And when I landed, this group of like 6 guys started walking towards me, and I'm like, oh, like, and I kind of thought that, I was gonna start giving these guys some head, but oh no, ma'am, they wanted to fight. So we started fighting, and I beat all of their asses. I don't remember like exactly, punch for punch, but I won, okay? And that was one dream that always sticks out to me. Um, so let me see. Okay, so I feel the difference between an astral projection and lucid dream, because see, it's like the same thing, but I feel like a astral projection more frequently or almost always happens in your bedroom. Like it happens you laying on the bed and you shooting out of your body. And a lucid dream to me can happen when you are basically walking down the street or at a Walmart in the dream world, and that's where you start the dream. Basically, you don't start it in your room, you start it somewhere else. So I feel like that's kind of the difference between a lucid dream and an astral projection. They're both situations where you're conscious or you're aware or more aware than a regular dream, but I feel like they start in different places. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Um so yeah, the key is to learn how to turn a sleep paralysis into an astral projection or into a lucid dream, because you can have it can transition into that. So if there's anybody out there who has a lot of sleep paralysis and you're afraid or whatever, and you haven't mastered how or learned how to get out of bed, basically you have to train yourself to realize where you are, realize what you want to do, and get out of bed, roll out of bed. And in time, you'll walk through the walls, just try it, um, Just do it. Just walk through the wall, you know? Um, so yeah, and eventually you can start flying. It may start slow, like you may levitate or you may try to fly, but you can't. That has happened to me where I can levitate only a little bit, or like I'm like kind of just gliding through the air, but I have no real like control. Like it depends. It's been so many different situations. I had one lucid dream where I was in a warehouse or something like that. God, I can't remember all of it, but like I remember like some sort of like door that took us to another dimension or somewhere else. And I don't know if the people that I was with, like if they left me behind, I don't remember, but like next thing you know, I'm basically in a room full of zombies. Oh no, wait a minute. No. Wait, I'm remembering. Oh my God, wait. There were these cocoons above us and we were trying to get out, but I think they got out through that portal and I was the only one left. And like the cocoon started falling from the sky, and as they were, so um I then go up to this like ledge, and I'm looking down, and I see basically an army of zombies, and they're all looking at me just like, so I'm above them, so I'm basically like at this like what would that be called? It's like I'm standing at a ledge, but like above them, so they cannot reach me. I'm like basically like maybe 20 feet or 10, 15 feet above them. So I can see, the whole area where, and it's like 100 or 200 of them. So I then look at my hands and I begin to like will a sword. I want to will a sword. So it begins to develop, like I can see it kind of like fade into reality, like come, and it came, and it was two swords. I think it was two swords that I had, one in each hand. And I then turn around and I jump off of the ledge into the zombies, and I basically start hacking their asses one by one, and that shit was so fucking fun. And I remember like at one point, like the sword, it turned into like a lasso, and I was like, but the lasso was metallic and it could slice. So like I was spinning that motherfucker and like cutting their asses, and they were like kind of honing in on me. So it's like I was creating like a circle, or and it was like I'm seeing in my head like this, so that I'm like the circle or whatever, and they're just coming, you know what I'm saying? So like I'm just keeping them at bay by killing them as they're all coming, so it develops like a circle, you know what I'm saying? So that's what was happening, and that was a cool dream. And I've also had astral, well, lucid dreams that I'm one of the X-Men and that I have, powers. So there's a lot of different types of lucid dreams and astral projections, and they're fun. Like I really do want to get back to doing them regularly. Oh, and also binaural beats. Like binaural beats help a lot. I did binaural beats for a while, for like a year. And I was having a lot of lucid dreams, a lot of astral projections. Oh my God. And I was writing them down. Oh yeah, you guys, that's really important. Writing these down. And if you can't write them down, record them on your phone. But you doing that will help you remember. Because that's the whole point. You want to remember as much as you can. I mean, what's the point of having these experiences and you wake up and you can't remember? So writing them down or recording them is essential to this whole thing. And I know I can get lazy with writing. But I do have journals that are like the whole thing is full of dreams. And when you start writing your dreams down, you remember them more and more and more. So I went from like writing 1 page per dream or per experience to writing 15 pages per. So yeah, like it gets really intense and you remember details. You do very detailed things. I've had experiences where I'm lucid dreaming and I'm reading from a newspaper because I know that I'm lucid dreaming and I want to remember things. So and do things that are very like intricate. Like I remember like logging onto my laptop as I was, lucid dreaming, logging into my laptop and putting in my password, and I did it correctly and I logged in. So you just see details. You just see a lot of like vivid things. What else could I talk about? I know I'm not gonna touch on everything. This is like not even this isn't even a drop in the bucket, okay? Like I just wanted to get on here and share with you guys some of my knowledge, and the video is very long and I haven't even shared like, I haven't shared a lot, okay? Like I can go on and on and on about my different experiences, my dreams and things like that. But let me see, what else should I say before I go? Anything else? Um, so yeah, writing the dreams down is very important. Um, Also reading about lucid dreaming and astral projection is important because that is kind of like a preparatory immersion. So you're kind of getting yourself to become more in tune to that reality through reading, through kind of immersing yourself into the knowledge and into what people are saying and doing when it comes to this topic. So you're kind of like getting your mind into, into the vibe of it. So reading about lucid dreams helps a lot. Reading books on it. Um, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to draw the video out and, kind of like go blank on you guys. But let me know your experiences with lucid dreaming. Let me know um, what you guys have experienced, what you guys have been through. And like I said, this isn't even like, there's so much more. And I feel like we may have to do part twos and threes and fours and fives to this because there is so much more, so many more experiences. And even with Raina, my co-host, she has her own experiences that I want her to share too. And even with, us talking, I'll be able to flesh out more than I had than I have in here in this video. So I think that's pretty much it. I wonder how long this video has been, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. I hope I said enough. I feel like I'm forgetting something. But I guess I'll make a part two. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.